Welcome to the Tailoring Talk Magazine Movie Marathon. We have chosen to accept the mission of watching every single Mission Impossible movie leading up to the release of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning in May 2025. Roberto here, and as before, I have carefully chosen my two IMF agents through a complete lack of any other options. John, Alex, how are you?
I am very well, thank you. Very well. Very, very hale, I would say. That means
Very
fit, I
pale.
think. Hale. Hale means like fit and well. Healthy and hale.
In
Hale, I think it is.
what? In
Yeah.
what country is that?
I don't know. I think Alex is
Okay,
looking it up now.
I've never ever heard that before. Alex, how are you?
Hello, I'm all right, thank you. Sorry, having some.
Good. With his PC. So, guys, firstly, before we get into this, we have got something to share with the viewers, which is we got monetized. So, we're not. Don't worry, you're not. Yay. I mean, it
We need
means
to do
we've
animations
grown.
of like money dropping in over our heads right now.
Money.
So do that in
Like,
post, yeah.
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 Have we
So
got
yeah,
enough
but
for a
don't
coffee
worry,
yet?
you're not going to be getting adverts all over your feed because we're still a little way away from that level. But we just want to say a massive thank you, and I wanted to do it here so that Alex and John have the opportunity to do the same. But thank you so much for all your support. Thank you to our regular viewers who always join in the comments and give us brilliant feedback and additional information and correct us on things that we've done wrong. But generally, 99.99% of you have been very, very kind and super supportive. We love you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Guys,
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Very, very much
You
appreciative.
make it.
by 2006, the Mission Impossible franchise had undergone a significant transformation. After the stylish excess of John Woo's Mission Impossible 2, the third installment aimed to bring the series back to its espionage roots while retaining the high-octane action fans had come to expect. Mission Impossible 3, also fondly known as MI3, not only marked a shift in tone but also a significant evolution in Ethan Hunt's character, balancing his personal stakes with his professional responsibilities. Before we begin, here is your spoiler alert, which will self-destruct in 5 seconds. We will be detonating spoilers all over the place, so if you haven't seen MI3, please pause and come back when you're ready. Mission Impossible 3. A franchise reborn. The film follows IMF agent Ethan Hunt, played again by Tom Cruise, who's retired from field work to train new recruits while maintaining a secret engagement to his fiancée Julia Mead, played by Michelle Monaghan. However, one of his proteges, Lindsay Farris, played by Kerry Russell, is captured and killed. Ethan is pulled back into action to take down the ruthless arms dealer Owen Davian, played by the brilliant Philip Seymour Hoffman. The mission quickly turns personal when Davian abducts Julia, forcing Ethan to race against time to save her while uncovering the mystery of the enigmatic weapon known as the Rabbit's Foot. With a more grounded narrative, intense action, and a standout villainous performance from Hoffman, MI3 revitalised the franchise, setting the stage for its future success. Guys, let me take you back to 2006. Mission Impossible 3, did you see it in the cinema? Do you remember it? Did it have any impact whatsoever? Alex, did it have more of an impact on you than maybe Mission Impossible 2 did?
So I don't think I watched this in cinema, but I can't. I think 2 put me off, and I think I got to 3, and then I think I was just like, I'm good. I was all right. I'll wait for The Matrix, or whatever. Wait for it on DVD. And part of me regrets that now, because having seen it, I'm like, this would have been a brilliant cinema film, like really good in the cinema, and I missed out on that. So I feel a bit disappointed, actually. Like the second one, I definitely watched it at the cinema. As I was a little disappointed, but this would have rebuilt that, but I missed that, so I ended up watching it a bit later on.
Oh, what a shame. John?
Yeah, I went to see this with my wife because we were big Bond fans and went. It's one of those films we can go and watch together. And so we went to see it together, and we were, suitably impressed with it. It is a great cinema viewing experience, especially that scene on the plane with Hoffman being, tortured. So yeah, no, we did, and it kind of that set the standard then for us to go and watch every single one, and we watched them at home together as well. It's one of the few films that we watch together. We have a good crossover with spy thrillers. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, loved it in the cinema. How about you, Bobby?
So, so Caroline and I, we got together at the end of 2005. So 2006 was our big sort of dating year, and movies was part of a big part of that. 2006 was also the year that we got Daniel Craig as James Bond in Casino Royale. But yeah, we saw MI3. Carolina was reluctant to see it because she didn't like Tom Cruise. She didn't fancy him. She didn't find him attractive. But also, it was all that Scientology nonsense as well. She just thought, he's probably a bit of a weirdo. But when I dragged her to see it, and she really liked it at the time. She had some comments last night, but I'll come on to those later. But yeah, we both loved it. It looked fantastic. For J.J. Abrams, I mean, obviously now we know his signature style, but it has the beginnings of all those cinematic classic JJ kind of cues that we've come to see in films since, like The Force Awakens, the Star Trek movies, Super 8, and other stuff that he's done. So yeah, but I really loved it at the time, and Carolina was so impressed with what she saw from Cruise in this movie that it just changed her opinion about him, and she's kind of been able to sort of separate whatever opinion she's got about him on the personal side from the actor and the superstar. And now if there's a film coming out with him in it, although granted the last few years he's been doing mostly these kind of action type films like Mission Impossible and Top Gun, she's no objections to going and seeing Tom Cruise in anything. But yeah, there we go, really loved it. It's again another one of those that I got on DVD and digital download later when it was digital downloads really became a thing. And yeah, I thought it just looked fantastic on screen, and the sound work was absolutely brilliant as well. So yeah, would you, if there was like a rerun of it in the cinema, Alex, would you go and see it on a big screen, or do you think you've seen enough now?
So I would have, and I would definitely go and see it at the cinema. I mean, I was so anxious over the entire film. Right from the start, I was just like, "Oh my god, how are my nerves going to cope with this?" And then obviously you get into it. But it was quite like anxiety inducing, I have to say. But it was very well done. So I was watching it, but I was just, there were some moments where I was like, "Oh no, I don't want to know what happens here." And then obviously it's all fine at the end.
Yeah,
kind of.
We'll get into the sort of. Because you're right, from the very first opening scene. I mean, I was back in the cinema when I watched it last night. I remember being in my seat, and I remember the experience of it. Just took me back to that moment, that cold open with him and Julia opposite, being threatened, and the countdown from 10, and then the gunshot at the end, and then lighting the fuse and everything. Oh, God. Brilliant. Following the massive box office success of MI2 in 2000, Paramount was eager to continue the franchise. However, development on Mission Impossible 3 faced several hurdles, leading to multiple script rewrites and director changes before it was able to finally move forward. The initial version of MI3 was developed in 2002 with director David Fincher attached. His vision was reportedly darker. He'd just obviously come off the back of movies like Alien 3. We had Seven in the kind of mid-90s as well, which was a brilliant but very, very dark film.
Very good.
And more psychological, exploring black market weapons and the emotional toll of espionage. Fincher ultimately departed due to creative differences, and director Joe Carnahan, who was responsible for Narc, was then brought on board in 2003. He worked on the project for over a year and envisioned a grittier, more realistic spy thriller. His version reportedly involved bioweapons and a villain inspired by real-world arms dealers. Carnahan was quoted as saying that he wanted to make the punk rock version of Mission Impossible, working from a script by Shawshank Redemption filmmaker Frank Darabont. Kenneth Branagh was cast as the villain, with Carrie-Anne Moss coming fresh off the Matrix movies, Alex, and Scarlett Johansson joining the cast. Johansson went as far as to do stunt training for the movie. However, Carnahan left in 2004 due to disagreements over tone and scope. So with the project stalled, Paramount approached J.J. Abrams, then best known for his television work on Alias and Lost. This would be his feature film directorial debut, and he was chosen for his ability to balance action, suspense, and character-driven storytelling. I just realised something, guys, and I'm probably going to be the odd one out here. I've never seen Alias.
I've never seen Alias either.
Okay, cool.
Have you seen it, Alex?
I don't think I've seen it.
Oh,
I think
Well,
you've
is it
given
on
us
Paramount?
credit for something we.
Oh, we need to. We have
well,
a
it was
project
JJ.
here, don't
But it
we?
was with Jennifer Garner.
Yeah.
And
It's
she
meant to
was
be
the
good.
secret agent that apparently is very, very good. So maybe after we are done with Mission Impossible, maybe we should dig out some Alias box sets and we should do Alias.
Yeah.
Why
I'm
not?
trying to figure out which streaming service it's on as well. I'll have to look it up. Anyway.
I watched Dollhouse. So, but that's not.
Yes,
but
that's
some
Joss
similarity
Whedon, though, isn't
there.
it? Dollhouse. That's Joss Whedon.
That was Joss Whedon and
Yeah.
Eliza Dushku was in the lead, which is the reason
Yeah,
I
that's
watched
right.
that show.
You can watch it on Disney Plus. There you go.
Alias.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Disney
because
Plus.
it would have been. I think it was a Fox. I think it was a 20th Century Fox.
Oh, hello.
Fox
My
season,
Disney
that one.
Plus is making a noise now. Let's turn that down. There we go. Yeah, so you
Brilliant.
can watch. I think it's all on there. So that's good. So that's our next project.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let's do that. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I've been needing something to watch. And Lost, I think I remember seeing like the first season of that, and then I just really lost interest in it.
You lost interest.
Yeah, no pun intended,
Boom,
dude.
boom.
I've watched about 2.5 seasons, and when I found out that the ending was a bit of a pain, and like a not very great ending, although some people disagree, I lost interest too. But I tried rewatching it, and I watched them all again recently, up to the same point where I lost interest. So I thought, no, this is not for me. So I came up again because they're all on Netflix.
It's
I think,
like
aren't they? Lost episodes amongst other
Probably.
places. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah,
There's 5 seasons of Alias, so it's a lot of watching.
good. Jennifer Garner, not a problem.
Yeah.
Abrams rewrote the script with Alex Kurtzman and Robert Orci, bringing a more personal and emotionally grounded approach. He refocused the story to explore Ethan's struggle between a normal life and the high-stakes world of espionage working for the IMF. The MacGuffin, the rabbit's foot, was kept deliberately vague, reinforcing the theme that personal stakes matters more than the mission itself. Abrams also dialed up the intensity of the villain, with Davian being a cold, calculating antagonist who seemed to always be one step ahead. Like, when you think back to that scene, the cold open, and then when they repeat it again later in the film, where he gets to 9 and Ethan kind of then, because he goes through the full range of emotions, right? He's going through this whole... So at 9, Ethan then sort of comes back down again to, no, you've got to do the right thing here. No. And like Philip Seymour Hoffman's face is just like stone cold. Like, he does not give a shit. You look in his eyes and you realize, I think by about 8, I remember originally when I saw it, by 8, I thought to myself, he's going to shoot her in the head.
Great
there's just
acting
no
from
doubt.
Tom, though. His expressions are very good. His eye work in this scene is very, very good.
Yeah, extremely. I think it was a really good film for Tom Cruise as well, because although, again, it was an all balls-out action film, it really let him show a lot of his range in an action setting. Because obviously we've seen him in serious stuff before, and, I've never thought anything less of Tom Cruise than that he is a really great actor. But this really did allow him to show his range. But push come to shove, Philip Seymour Hoffman just takes it in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He was terrifying. And you know what made it more terrifying is he'd just come off the back, I believe, of Along Came Polly. Ben Stiller, Jennifer Aniston. Have you not seen that film?
No, I've not seen it.
Oh, you have? Oh, you haven't?
No.
Oh my god. Go and he's so funny. Philip Seymour Hoffman is so funny in that. He plays Ben Stiller's best friend, school childhood friend, Sandy Lyle, who's like he was a child star in quite a famous show. So everywhere he goes, he gets recognised. But he's not had any success whatsoever as an adult. So he's basically got this true Hollywood camera team following him around everywhere, and he's basically just forever harking back to his success as a child actor. But anyway, if you haven't seen it, if you enjoyed those sort of early Ben Stiller comedies like Meet the Parents and so on, Along Came Polly's brilliant. It's one of Carolina's favourite comedies, and whenever it's on, we always watch it. We've seen it so many times. Very, very funny. So anyway, there we go. Have you seen Along Came Polly, Alex?
No, I've not seen it.
homework for you guys.
We're doing so well at the moment.
We are,
Yeah, I know. I really thought you guys had me beat with the whole Alias thing, but it's
No.
cool to know that even the geeks I'm a geek as well. That's not fair. Okay.
No,
Anyway,
we've all
there we
got
go.
our blind spots. That's fair enough.
Let's talk about casting. So Tom Cruise obviously is back as Ethan Hunt. Who else is going to play him? Philip Seymour Hoffman, we've just spoken about as Owen Davian, arguably the franchise's best villain. Hoffman's performance was chillingly calm and menacing. He reportedly avoided learning the typical villain tropes to create a more unpredictable performance. And I think, looking back over the whole series, I would agree with that, actually.
Yeah, I think he's the best
I
villain.
know, yeah.
It's just his kind of almost relaxed, dismissive manner that he doesn't care about you at all. He's not even interested in you, and that's for me more realistic than anything else.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
but there's no empathy whatsoever.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he's almost dead inside. Even when he gets rescued, the helicopter where Ethan is shooting at the helicopter
on the bridge.
On the bridge,
Chesapeake Bridge,
and the way he just looks out from that is just chilling. I also remind me that I want to talk about the rabbits for later.
And why I think about that as well.
Okay, cool. Michelle Monaghan as Julia Mead. Julia's character introduced a new dynamic, giving Ethan a deeper personal motivation. Monaghan was cast for her natural chemistry with Cruise and her ability to portray both warmth and resilience. I'm not sure if this was her first major role, but I remember about that same sort of time, I want to say, she was in that movie with Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. She was the female lead in that.
Yeah.
Very, very clever movie. It was a Shane Black, I think, scripted and directed film. Shane Black, obviously famous for Lethal Weapon and for his minor starring role in Predator.
You're not sure it's not Comedy Bang Bang rather than Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
No, it's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Yeah, no, it came out the year before.
Yeah. There you go.
She did a run of action.
Oh yes, you're right.
She did.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
She did Bourne Supremacy and
Harmony Faith Lane. She was Harmony Faith Lane, and Robert Downey Jr. was called Harry Lockett. Okay.
Yeah. Now
she was nice in it though.
She's in the current season of The White Lotus, and we most recently saw her in Bad Monkey as.
That's right. Yeah.
Vince Vaughn's ex.
Yeah. She's very good in that.
Kitty fiddling.
That's a really good series. That can't recommend that series enough.
Very good.
It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Ving Rhames returns as Luther Stickle for his third outing, returning as Ethan's trusted ally, providing both tech support and emotional grounding. Rhames' continued presence helped maintain continuity with the earlier films. Simon Pegg makes his debut as Benji Dunn. Making his franchise debut, Pegg's character would later become a key comedic and technical asset. His humorous yet intelligent persona was a stark contrast to the more serious IMF agents. He didn't audition for that. Yeah. So he did.
He does.
So I think he ended up doing 2 days of filming. So most of it was one day, and then he was called back for the scene at the end, where Julia's at the IMF office.
Yeah, and they're all saying, "Well done, you get married. Well done."
Jay wanted to speak to him at the Saturn Awards when he and Edgar Wright were going to collect an award for Shaun of the Dead, but he didn't get to speak to him. And then at some point down the line, I think they got the call. They were in their office in Fitzrovia, writing. I guess it would have maybe been Hot Fuzz at the time. But anyway, and they got the call, and he was asked if he wanted to be in Mission Impossible. Apparently, he did audition previously for MI3 with one of the other directors for a role that then didn't make it into what we know as the final script. It was some sort of helicopter pilot or something like that. But he makes his debut as Benji. I think he did a great job. He was brilliant in this, and the rest is history. And he would then go on to collaborate with JJ again on another franchise, which is the new Star Trek movie. Yeah. Which I know has divided Trekkies quite a lot. I think a lot of diehard Trekkies who are fans of the original show don't like the J.J. Abrams Star Treks, but for someone like me that was more Star Wars than Star Trek, I really liked the Star
Don't
Trek
forget,
trilogy, the new ones.
don't forget that Simon Pegg also worked with J.J. Abrams in The Force Awakens as well. He was
Oh yeah,
at the alien
yeah, he
vendor
did.
at the airport thing, wasn't he? The junk
But
airport.
yeah, he
So he was in
likes
that as well with
to
J.J. Abrams.
he likes to cast like friends
Mates,
and people
yeah.
he's worked with.
If you
Yeah.
look at the beginning, right in their house at the sort of the engagement ceremony at the beginning, in Julian and Ethan's house, there's an actor in that who was in another TV series that J.J. Abrams made, and I can't remember what his name is, and it's really going to do my head in now, so I'm going to have to look it up. But he
Her brother
basically,
is played by Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad.
yeah. Let's say Greg Grunberg. So Greg Grunberg was in
Oh yeah,
Alias
yeah. He was in Star Wars.
and in
He was in
Heroes.
Star Wars as well, and
And
Heroes.
Styles.
Yeah, that's right.
Heroes is what he's famous for, and so he was actually quite a close friend
Oh
of
yeah, yeah.
J.J. Abrams, and so he was a childhood friend of J.J. Abrams. In fact, so you'll see him in quite a few things that J.J. Abrams is involved in as well, which
Yeah.
is
Tom Cruise bored him to death, didn't he? Just talking about traffic patterns.
Yes.
that's right. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was so funny.
He's bored, and all the ladies think he's as hot as hell, don't they? It's really brilliant.
Yeah,
Oh, I'd
yeah.
marry him.
They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
I would. All right,
Yeah.
whatever.
Lawrence Fishburne as
Hands
IMF
up if
director
you were in
Russell.
Star Wars.
Well, he's
Fishburne
just
added
being
authority.
Morpheus, isn't he? Again.
You-
Well,
God, these two
He
have
is. He's
started.
Morpheus in this. Sorry, we interrupted you, Bobby. But he is in this.
Yeah.
Come on, he's Morpheus again, isn't he? In this, basically.
To be fair, I
Yes,
did turn around to
exactly.
Carolina. I said, Morpheus is very stressed out, isn't he? Added
And the
authority
same
and
suit on
ambiguity
as
to the
well.
IMF hierarchy, making the audience, tailoring Talk Magazine audience focus on my voice, making the audience question his loyalties. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers as Declan Gormley, a field operative skilled in surveillance and combat. His audition impressed the producers with his intensity and ability to handle action sequences. And I also thought for an Irish fella, his Italian accent was pretty good. And I
was
liked
good.
his
Yeah.
hand gestures
Hey!
as well. Maggie
great.
Q
Maggie Q.
as Zen Lee, the team's tactical specialist and infiltration expert. Maggie Q underwent rigorous stunt training to perform many of her own action scenes. She didn't audition, they wanted her for this. She was sick as a dog when she went for the audition, but when she got there, they basically told her that she had the part. So there we go.
She's really
They
good
did want her
in
back.
Designated Survivor. The
Yeah.
series
Oh, yeah.
with Kiefer Sutherland. She's very good in that as well.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And
Bobby.
we watched Nikita as well, actually, with her,
Yeah.
which was kind of like, cotton candy, throwaway rubbish, but, you just can't take your eyes off the screen when she's on it.
No, she's
Billy
got the moves.
Crudup as John Musgrave, initially seeming to be a mentor. Musgrave's ultimate betrayal, spoiler alert, was the key twist in the film. Crudup's performance balanced charm and menace, making his character's reveal more impactful. I love him as an actor, especially
Watchmen.
with the work he's done in The Morning Show.
Yeah, and the one show. Yeah. The problem
Yeah,
is
really,
the
he's so good in that.
but the problem is straight away when he comes into the film, he's a wrong 'un straight away. He's almost too well
A bit
cast.
like, a bit like the
You know?
sexy priest Andrew. What's his face when he appears in Spectre
Oh yes.
as as C.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Now we know what C stands for.
Yeah. Andrew. That's Andrew. Is that Andrew Scott? Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Actor.
So, I was when watching it as each new cast member appeared, I was just thinking,
It's a good cast.
like, is this one of the best casted action films of all time or something? The cast was so good.
So good, Bobby, that they actually underused, massively underused, both Philip Seymour Hoffman, I think, but also Eddie Marsan as well. Eddie Marsan's, he's just like one of the Britain's best actors, and all he does really is stick things up people's noses and gets crushed by the masonry.
There's a rumor that they wanted Ricky Gervais for that role originally.
Oh God, no!
Yeah,
What?
Yeah.
What?
I don't think that could have worked,
No.
but because he would have wanted to do something
Some
like
comedy.
A Quip or something.
Yeah.
all right, you two.
it would
Don't
have completely
hate
ruined
on
it.
Ricky
don't
Gervais.
cast. Oh God, no.
What's the pylon on Ricky Gervais all of a sudden?
No, it's
Look,
fine,
I've got
but
nothing against
just
the
not
film
in
itself.
the right place.
He's just him in films. It's just Gervais in the films. It takes you out of the film. No.
But
No.
I like what? Oh, okay. I like the film he did where
Would I
he's
lie to you?
able to communicate with the ghosts and stuff.
Oh, yes, yes.
Ghost Town.
Yes. Was it Ghost Town?
Right.
I like that film.
Yeah.
He was really good in
Okay.
that, and it made me cry. So
Oh,
there
well, there
we
you go.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so casting was brilliant. We all agree on that. Fantastic. So let's talk about the sort of key action sequences that really string this film together. The thing with this rabbit's foot, it says biohazard on it, so it obviously could be some sort of
Right.
chemical
Go
weapon,
on.
but that's quite close to what happened in the last film. But then also the way Benji was talking until he talked about eviscerating cities and babies and children and women and all the rest of it, it sounded like it could be some sort of higher intelligence or AI, which
No,
immediately
no, no.
made me leap forward to Dead Reckoning and think, "Ooh, are we going to see the rabbit's foot in the final Reckoning reappear
No.
in some form?"
No, no.
Who knows?
So there's that scene at the end where Crudup gets shot by Julia, and he drops the suitcase, and the rope rolls forward, and you see the biohazard symbol on the front. So it's definitely not AI. However, here's the weird thing. So I watched because as you know, I mentioned it to you on the socials before we watched before tonight. I got all 6 of the Resident Evil films in a bundle for a tenner. It was a great deal. Just no brainer. And I watched the first Resident Evil again before I watched Mission Impossible 3. The very, very first one, which has got, oh gosh, what's her name? The main actress.
Is that where Colin Salmon gets killed going through the laser grid thing?
Yes. Yeah, yeah, he gets chopped up into, it's a really good scene.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but in that film, the cold opening is that you're in the lab in the hive underground, and I mean, if you've played the games, you know what the T virus is, but they're taking someone you can't see is stealing the T virus, and they make off with the suitcase and chuck one of the T viruses into the hive, and starts, all the problems. But I then watched Mission Impossible afterwards because a sample of the T virus goes missing at the end of the film, and it was a bit weird watching that and then watching the rabbit's foot, which was,
Just
is
rock.
they in the
Just
same? Are they in the same universe? Did the T virus end up in this lab as the rabbit's foot? You see, just it was a weird synchronicity between the two films. They're both sort of deadly viruses involved.
Yeah.
It's a
I
bit,
mean,
yeah.
I was going to say, sorry, while we're talking
Yeah.
about the story, what did we think of the plot of this one in comparison to the previous 2 movies? Alex?
so it was infinitely better than the second one.
Mm.
I think actually it was probably better than the first one. In fact, I think there's lots to say about the first one, but I think it was a really good
Alex,
one.
the first film, as we discussed before, is more of a homage to the original series. It's more
That's
Cold
right. Yeah,
War,
exactly.
and I
Yeah,
think they had to.
yeah,
They had to. I think Tom Cruise and co had to get that out of their system
yeah,
for a smooth transition between what the fans wanted from the first film and however many years later that the third film comes out, and it kind of setting the standard in the third film, aren't they? Really, the third film is
yeah. It
where
feels that
you've got
way.
the team and you've got the locations and the set piece
Mm.
action sequences. I think that's why really Mission Impossible feels like it starts with 3 going on, and the first
Yeah,
2 are kind of
yeah. No, it did.
sprying it out. That's how I feel about 3 anyway.
Yeah. What about you, Bobby?
Any thoughts?
I think the first time I saw it, because again, it was cinema, it was spectacle, it really kept you
Mm.
on the edge of your seat as well. Because, the opening, then you had the whole trying to rescue Kerry Russell's character, then the Shanghai thing, the bridge
Mm.
thing, every action sequence in between the quiet moments, you were just shitting your pants basically. So when you strip away the spectacle, the storyline is kind of thin because and I guess that was deliberate because now, I've done my reading up on this, and J.J. Abrams kind of deliberately wanted the Rabbit's Foot to be a MacGuffin in the
Mm.
truest sense of the word, because he really wanted to focus on Ethan and the struggle and the personal story of him trying to balance this secret life that he has with, obviously with Julia, and the danger and the jeopardy that puts her in and so on. And, he achieved that for sure. But I think anyone who's kind of looking for maybe a little bit more substance to the actual story and, the motivations behind the villain and all that sort of thing, there's maybe something a little bit missing there. Although to be honest, Davian is really like he's a broker, isn't he? So he doesn't
Yeah,
really care what the rabbit's foot is. He only cares that he's got someone that wants to buy it, and his
yeah.
mission is to basically get that thing for his buyer. That's it. He doesn't give a damn what it is, what the
Well, he,
consequences of that
he's got
thing are.
reputation, hasn't he? He's got a very good reputation. He doesn't want to lose that reputation. And I think the reason he gets angry that Ethan is holding on to the rabbit's foot and not giving it to him is because his reputation is slipping, or he's worried about his reputation more than anything else. You're right. He doesn't care about the actual what it is. He's just worried about losing his kudos as this, arms broker or kind of like illegal trader amongst the oligarchs and the warlords of the world. And I think that's what his motivation is for this.
Yeah, I mean, first big action set piece is where Tom Cruise, I mean, Ethan Hunt, has to go and try and get Kerry Russell back
Mm.
from the clutches of Davian's men in Berlin. It was actually shot in a deserted warehouse lot in Los Angeles.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and
It was
and
completely
I
empty.
wanted
When
to,
it, oops, when they found the lot, it was like a big white room, completely empty warehouse,
yeah,
and the production team. So all that machinery you see inside, all the the heat pumps and things, everything was built. So they're all wooden models, and the insides of the actual building, they sprayed it with many different layers of paint to get that kind of grungy effect, and all the chains they put in were fake. The only thing that was real was the glass, because that was explosively blown out. I mean, Cruise was just blown away how good that set looked, considering it was all completely sort of set rather than real things. And it's very clever. You wouldn't
yeah.
know. I mean, it looks
I
so
don't know.
authentic.
Don't know why I had the idea that he, aside from Mission Impossible 2, he has a no-kill policy because he kills a few people in this.
Yeah, he doesn't
And
stop that at all.
yeah, I don't
Not
know
this
where
one.
I got that
It is
idea from.
it's a reboot though. This is the thing. It feels like a
Yeah.
reboot, and they've just set
Well, you
everything
say that,
back.
but the team still have a conscience when he's
Oh
torturing
yeah,
Davian on the plane. They have to stop him, don't they? He's obviously losing a bit,
yeah.
and
He
they
crosses the
rein him
line,
in.
doesn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think it's kind of it's all for the mission, isn't it? It's like if the mission's getting out, that's what he does, and if it's going and getting something, that's what his focus is.
Yeah.
So I don't
Did
think
you?
it's like I think because it's against the bad guys, it doesn't feel bad at all.
Yeah. Did you spot the? JJ has an Easter egg that he puts into pretty much everything he does. Did you spot it during that sequence?
No, what was it this time?
He puts R2D2 into every single thing he does. So R2D2's popped up in Super 8, he's popped up in the Star Trek films, and he's popped up in this as well. There's a pile of junk just as the camera sort of pans away after,
all
I think
right,
it's
all right. I
when
have to
Tom
go back and
Cruise
look at that
and
now.
when they jump out the building and then it explodes, just as the camera pans, there's a pile of junk and R2D2's basically in there. So
Sorry, I'm just very exciting fact. So we were talking about Davian's work. He actually works for the Syndicate, which is mentioned in which comes into later
oh,
films.
we
He works for the Syndicate, so
yeah.
that's there are links to to the later like Ghost Protocol and later films, and so there's obviously a story that they're holding on to, running through there. So that's quite interesting. Sorry, I interrupted you, but I'll
I
have to
just
go
hope
back
they
and
don't
look at that.
sort of do it in a way that feels totally retconned like they did in No Time to Die.
Yeah, maybe.
Was it No Time to Die or Spectre? No, it was Spectre, isn't it? When
Spectre,
they
yeah.
suddenly
Retconned,
sort of,
yeah.
we've got the rights back, let's tie everything together now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really interesting. Cool. I wanted to ask you guys about the helicopter stuff
Oh, that's so good. So
from a
awesome.
physics point of view, because I imagine that you have thoughts. So
Do you
take
mean?
it
Do you
away,
mean?
geeks.
Do you mean the bits with the Apache warship flying down the Berlin backdrop? You mean that bit, or do you mean later on flying around through all the windmills, or both?
Well, more when the helicopter first turns up at the warehouse and sort of has to fly underneath that bridge thing and, you know, sort of
Well, I mean,
hover in
the
that
best
quite
bit,
narrow.
the best bit is when it flies through the fireball, which was all done with miniatures. I think the Apache warship, I think it has some clever it's designed to be able to do that. It's one of the few helicopters that can actually fly in tight spaces. It's designed to be because it's an infiltrator ship, so it can. I think it has not a camouflage mode, but it has a stealth mode as well. So I think that was more believable than a standard, commercial helicopter flying through there. I think it was because of the shape of it. I'd have to fact check that, but I felt that was more believable, despite all the incredible things it has to do. And I also, when it finally got chopped by the propellers in that final scene, it didn't blow up straight away, did it? And that felt a bit more realistic
No,
as well. We see a lot of films like cars do not blow up when they roll down hills. They just don't do that, and helicopters don't.
no.
They don't do the Bond explosions. So I think they've definitely thought about like the reality of that Apache warship. So I think it was an Apache warship per helicopter. I'm gonna have to check it up now. But what about your
No.
thoughts, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it was very convincing. I think all of the film actually was very convincing. They just didn't
There was
let it go.
there was tons of CGI in this one. So we kind of went suddenly from mostly
Yeah.
practical effects to a lot of CGI, which obviously goes to show how good JJ and his Bad Robot team are, because I think all of it was seamless. From the sort of little bits where, at the Vatican when they're putting the Davian mask on to Tom Cruise and they do the spin around, and there's a bit of CGI in there as Luther's manipulating the mask on his face.
I watched
The windmill sequence,
Sorry, Paul,
CGI.
my crew people I watch. They did a really cool breakdown of that scene with the mask being sculpted and sprayed. And there's a couple of really clever, quite often used techniques to how they did that. And one is, of course, is there's a sort of a cut as it spins round. Luther just gets in the way. You see his shoulder in shot,
Yeah.
and that's where they make the cut from a model to Philip Seymour Hoffman wearing some prosthetics over his own face. They can pad into his skin, and then there's another cut again where they've removed prosthetics, and it's his face with some clever makeup to look like it's just been freshly painted. It's slightly redder. He's got quite a ruddy complexion already, hasn't he? He's quite a kind of a gambling complexion, which worked really well with this. But that, for its time, that was a proper groundbreaking special effects scene. And I think for us as fans of the series, seeing those masks made for the first time as well, actually being made in shot. Because I think isn't there another film later on where they do the same thing, but it goes wrong? I'm sure one of them for the following films,
Not sure.
they're doing a similar thing and it goes wrong, and they have to kind of make do without the mask. Anyway,
I'm trying to think, this face swapping thing, did we really first see it in Darkman? I love that movie. Do you remember Liam Neeson? Sam Raimi's
Yeah.
Darkman? Remember that film?
I don't know it.
Oh my God, Alex,
I know
look it
the
up,
film.
watch
I've
it,
seen it. I have seen
and
it.
thank me later. It's so good. It's kind of like Sam Raimi's sort of horror version of Batman. That kind
okay.
of dark sort of...
Yeah.
Liam Neeson basically is like some sort of scientist who gets disfigured, and then he goes to take revenge on, the people that practically took his life away. But through the injuries that he sustains, he basically can't feel, or he can tolerate huge amounts of pain. But because his face is all messed up, he has to do the whole Mission Impossible style rubber mask things. The difference is they only survive because he was trying to develop like a synthetic skin to rebuild his face, but the material that he uses only lasts a certain amount of time in sunlight, and then it starts to melt. That's why he's called Darkman, because he can only really keep the disguise going when it's dark. But it's a really good, like, low budget sort of action horror type sort of thing. Sam Raimi. It's all got all the classic Sam Raimi tropes as well. But yeah, look it up. Darkman, Liam Neeson.
Cool.
Okay, so then on to the next big sequence, which was at the Vatican, in inverted commas, because the Vatican wouldn't let them film there. So the scene was actually filmed in Caserta in Italy. Some parts were filmed in Rome. A 40-foot wall was built in Caserta to simulate the Vatican City walls, and they used the same palace that was used in the Phantom Menace. I think it was the Naboo Palace.
Yeah.
To double as the Vatican. There was the pickup shot. There was a pickup shot that JJ really, really wanted from outside the Vatican. And so what I think it was the second unit director did is he said, leave it with me. And so he went and he set up a fake, like, sparkling water commercial shoot. So that drew all of the police, all of the tourists and everything over to this fake shit. And then they basically went with the DHL van and so on to shoot what they needed to, and just make sure that they got that shot with. So that's how they managed to circumnavigate that. An example of improvisation at its best.
The fake wall they built outside Cassetta Palace, actually built it outside the palace. So they dressed the wall one way for him to do his walk up with the pulley system to the top. They then filmed him on the top doing the photograph, which would never work because it would just be a black, dark shot. It wouldn't work, but by the way. And then what they did was for him to come back down, they redressed the wall to look like the inside of the wall. And as they dropped him down, they were having some issues getting him dropping down on the inertia rope, like, the homage to the Langley sequence, to get him to drop down fast enough. So in the end, the crews just changed the settings and dropped and bounced off the bottom. And that was the shot they got because they managed to change the angle. But they thought he'd injured himself, but he came out laughing and they were really happy. But it's really clever if you look at how they made that, in that they use that same wall for both sides, where he's going up from the DHL side and then dropping down into the Vatican side. It's very clever use of the same kit as well.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall.
Yeah, and then you realise what he's going to do.
Yeah.
And it's at the same time, it's like, oh, that's so cool because that's from the first movie, but also, oh my God, like calculated it to a millimeter.
I actually loved the best bit, which Becca loved as well, was when he takes the overalls off and they sort of bungee back up the wall tidily. Like he just, as he walks away he's in his padre outfit, the whole his workman outfit just goes back up the wall. I love that. So it's so kind of IMF, isn't it? That it's kind of like it's just a little bit of humour, but function as well. It's a cracking.
It's nice because it's kind of like the first beginnings of what we're gonna see in future films as well. A lot more of the kind of espionage, like spy gadgety type of stuff. That's me just teeing Alex and just warming him up, or letting get Alex's battery preconditioned for when he's up soon. Do you like my little EV reference there?
Yeah, I like it. That's very good.
Yeah, thanks. Just reviewed the Hyundai Ioniq 6 for anyone that's interested. Link is up there if I remember to put the link in when I'm editing. Thank you. It is, but it's not mine. So, there we go. Where was I? Oh, yeah, sorry. Vatican sequence. Yeah. Thrilling sequence involving...
It's so slick. It's so slick, isn't it? The whole sequence is just slick. It's just...
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
It feels polished.
Polished.
Yeah.
Maggie Q's dress.
Very good. Very, very nice.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, so we haven't got to the bunkathon yet.
No, but
who's talking about? No one's talking about bunkathons yet. She didn't bunk anybody in this.
No, but I mean, the dress was made.
So a little fashion. Sorry,
by
John.
The costume designer. I'm just trying to remember her name. But the costume designer made the dress because she based it on like Versace and things like that. It needed to be very much of an Italian design. However, it also needed to be kind of functional for Maggie Q to run around in as well. Colleen Atwood was the costume designer who made the dress herself.
It was a lovely dress.
It was. I mean, she's been nominated for Oscars for best costume design 12 times and has won 4 times. Wow. Famous in things like Memoirs of a Geisha and Chicago. So an amazing dress that completely turns heads when she walks into the main room, which is scanning the joint before she sees Davian. But yeah, so it's a cracking dress, and it goes so well with the Lamborghini, isn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Its primary
the dress was impossible to get in and out of, so in the end they ended up using magnets. So basically, they would just put the dress around her and just snap all the different loops into place with magnets, and then snap her back out of it again.
Wow.
So fun little fact there for you. The Lamborghini, and then obviously, arguably, definitely one of the top 5 sequences, which is in the bathroom when they capture Davian and Tom Cruise assumes the role of him. Absolutely fantastic. Everything from building the face mask, we finally get to see the technology for the first time and how they're created and how they do it. Also makes you realise that there's no... Like, they wouldn't have had time to do it in the short time. I mean, in Mission Impossible 2, they were just swapping masks like it was something you just pull it over your head like a balaclava and off you go. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. The voice changer thing, we see it in more detail as well.
Yeah.
How he has to get him to read off the card, that very, very specific script in
that
order
card-
to
well,
capture the voice.
That's actually a real script. That text that they used apparently contains all the phonemes of the English language. It's actually a real thing. I can't remember. There's a chap called Neil Hetwell who wrote it, a quite famous phonetic professor, and they did that because it's been used as a kind of a way of gauging speech, linguistics, and so on. It's a real piece of text that people use. And that was quite clever to get him to kind of map out all the speech patterns of Davian. It's a clever scene, isn't it? Because it adds tension in that scene where the henchman comes into the toilets and he's waiting for it to count down to 0. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's funny how that can be a linchpin of a scene, isn't it? It's very clever, very well written.
Yeah, and again, it's the tension, right, Alex? Were you just as on the edge of your seat still with this one when when the henchman comes in and Jonathan Rhys-Meyers is behind the door with the real Davian? Tom Cruise is there, like, well, it's not. It's Philip Seymour Hoffman as Tom Cruise as Davian. Brilliant. But he's like, because he's got 30 seconds before the whole thing. And then just as it's like, right, got it. But the voice, very first microsecond,
it's his voice
still
too,
Ethan.
isn't it?
And then it's so good.
Just a fact check. It wasn't Neil. It was Neil Whitman was the guy who wrote that piece of text. It's actually a poem. It's a poem Neil Whitman wrote to have all the sounds of English language to be said in one piece. This is really interesting.
Yeah.
I think the thing is when you get to sorry, Bobby, when you get to that scene with the bathroom, one of the things that surprises me is actually how much power Davian still has.
Yeah.
Like at any moment he could have just stopped speaking, and that's what built the tension. It's just perfectly timed. But yeah, it does make you think. Like as you're watching it, you're going, actually, what could you do to him? Very little, and it was just I just found it quite chilling.
Yeah, I mean that then sort of crosses to when they've got him on the plane and Ethan's trying to, force the information out of him, and then when Luther, kind of stops him, and the first thing as soon as Luther starts, because Davian's already asked him, "What's your name? Who are you?" And then Luther goes and gives it away. And I'm just thinking, Luther, no, what are you doing? Why are you using his real name? That's it. Now what's he going to do?
That's so rare, isn't it? Because there aren't many villains that get captured that you're still scared of.
Yeah.
You're actually still going, oh, shit, that's important. Oh, no, he's given that away. And that just tells you how good he was in his role.
Well, it's that sting.
Yeah.
There's the sting of that extra information from
That's right.
From the microdot where the video comes through, doesn't it? Of Lindsay saying there's a mole essentially in the internal mole, which kind of that. Then you go, no, he's gonna. Then don't you, on the bridge, he's gonna escape. It's foreshadowing completely. And that again, I'm just getting the goosebumps now. I'm just thinking about that scene over the bridge that I've driven on myself. I've driven on that bridge in America.
Oh, nice.
So, well, obviously they didn't film it on the bridge at all. They built their own bridge.
No, because they actually built their own bridge on a hill somewhere.
Kasaba,
and then filmed it there,
Kasaba.
and then they filled in. They filled in with a ton of CGI as well. Again, testament to the VFX crew on that film.
Well done.
It was seamless. It was so good. Really,
yeah, it was good.
So good. The scene, the bit where Tom Cruise is running back to get the what's it called, Alex? The gun, and then there's the explosion, and he gets launched against the car. So he was on a wire, and obviously they then yank him sideways into that SUV.
Yeah.
But every time they did it, because he knew when it was coming, and he was flinching at that point. So in the end, tensing up. Yeah. And so in the end, he basically turned around to them and said, "Don't tell me when it's going to happen." And then that was the shot that they used, because obviously when it happened, he's shocked and, he's a little bit hurt as well. But that's the shot that we see in the final movie. So when you hear the cars turning over, like the initial missile blast, the sound effect of what we think is metal is actually... it's a sound effect pinched from Gorillas in the Mist of a roaring gorilla.
What?
If you go back and listen to it really carefully again, now I've said it, every time you see that in the future, you'll just hear a gorilla.
The
So
corridor,
there
the
we go.
corridor crew boys got the visual effects supervisor for that scene in to talk about that scene. Again, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry, but that's a really good video because he was the guy who put together the effects for that scene was under a lot of pressure because he was told that this is going to be a big feature of the trailer. And so, as a visual effects supervisor, there's a lot of pressure to get the best possible scene for the trailer, and so they worked really hard at that. And at the scene where the suitcase of the actual case of the gun, he's trying to flies forward, and he goes to reach for it. That case, the box with the gun in it, is all completely CGI. It's not there at all, and he had to kind of match the timing of Tom Cruise's trying to get it and falling over, and apparently he nailed it. When they nailed it for the trailer, he was very, very relieved. But it's again, I always talk about my corridor crew friends. It's fascinating videos. They do really good breakdowns of visual effects scenes, and they're always asking people to write in and say, I want to see this. So a lot of the Mission Impossible stuff gets covered. It's really interesting, more than you see on the extra features you have on the DVDs, because they tend to be showing off the good stuff about the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're a fan, that's really worth watching. Great scene.
Brilliant. Thank you. So, I know that the audience is eagerly waiting with bated breath for Alex's gadget rundown, John's cruise schmooze, and also the bonkometer, because we've still got that.
Yeah, I've got a new feature. Got a new feature too. I want a new name for a feature anyway.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Well, the funny run stuff I want to rename as Cruising with Tom. So there's Cruise Schmooze and Cruising with Tom.
We are going to break here, and we are going to call this part 1, and we will be back for part 2. So thank you for joining us on this initial deep dive into Mission Impossible 3. We will be back for part 2, so please make sure that you are subscribed so you don't miss it, and don't wait for part 2 to join in the comments if there's anything we've talked about, if this is one of your favourite Mission Impossible films. If you think it's a complete pile of rubbish, let us know in the comments what you think, and we will see you soon for part 2. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.